McNeilCafeLatte.com.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Broadcasting live on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. In the evenings on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk. In Seattle, 1150 AM KKNW. And, of course, on the Blue Amp Media Network at blueamp.co on Substack. That's blueamp.co on Substack. It is the Matt McNeil Show for your Monday. Good to have you here with us today. Matt, Patrick, guest free today. I'm glad you were here. This is all good stuff. Patrick, how was your weekend?
I was okay. How was yours?
It was good because I had 2 hamburgers this weekend, which I think that's really kind of my standard at 57 years old. If I can do that and still function, I'm great. And we also had, although wildly wrong weather, we had very warm weather. And so I was able to get out and do some hiking this weekend. Did you, were you're obviously you're a big sports fan. Were you watching the sports this weekend? Anything like that?
Oh, I was kind of pinned up with stuff over the weekend. I didn't get to watch as much as I hoped to, but certainly heard about all the stuff going on.
So for all the people who are listening who are not in Minneapolis, St. Paul, I did want to take a quick second here to just let you know that we're going to play favorites here. Did you see the Gopher women take out Ole Miss there?
Yeah, the buzzer beater at the end. I don't think the Barns rocked that hard in 20 years.
That was good stuff. I enjoyed that greatly. So thanks for being with us, and to all the teams that won and across all this. I mean, the women are still playing today, so enjoy, have fun. Basketball. I actually had I had an interesting little bit of fun this weekend because on Friday we mentioned that Chuck Norris had passed away. Now, once again, I do not necessarily. I don't take any joy in relishing over someone's death. And I can say this honestly, even with Trump, I won't. And the reason why is that he's gone. Your shot against him is not going to be heard. The only people that are going to hear it are basically, the people who are left behind by him. And that doesn't, What I did do, though, is push out a video that Chuck Norris had with his wife that he did back before the 2012 election, when I've watched this video. There is definitely a racist subtext to it, but it's also this idea that we need to push an evangelical Christian nation on all of us, because basically he says, because Barack Obama, we're in end days right now. 100,000 years of darkness is coming. 1,000 years of darkness is coming. And they say, all you evangelicals, 30 million evangelicals didn't vote, and Barack Obama won by 10 million. By the way, spoiler alert, he won again. But, hey, whatever. Now, I want to just address one thing. Yeah, I consider that racist, because if for you to not have that be racist, you have to take out the context that Barack Obama was the only non-white president we've ever had. Okay, and he was a black guy. And this was kind of the trope of that you guys went. I've always said this about Republicans. You guys watch movies where there was an African-American president portrayed, and you said, okay, that's not a big deal. And then all of a sudden you saw it happen in real life, and you realized it was when your daughter said, you told your daughter you can date anyone you want to. And then one day your daughter brings home a black guy, and you realize how racist you still are. That's kind of what happened with you knuckleheads when it came to Barack Obama. All of a sudden you saw, wait a second, I didn't know that was real. And yeah, you guys, you had your code words for it and all this stuff. But anytime you're saying, hey, by the way, the one non-white male president we have is the son of 1,000 years of darkness. Yeah, you're a racist piece of crap. All right, you just are. Now, I just put this out there, not because I'm just saying this is what he did. This is who he was. And so, as you may know, I have abandoned a good chunk of social media where you run into the trolls, namely Twitter. I'm no longer there. I have an account open, but I don't ever post there. And no, I don't respond to people, and I don't because, yeah. And the only reason it's still open is because if anyone still does want to find me, I have actually the first 4 posts on that are me telling you where you can find me other places, including Blue Sky and Substack, where, of course, Matt McNeil Show on Substack, Matt McNeil Show on Blue Sky. But I've noticed, particularly on Facebook and on Instagram, which are both part of the Zuckverse, and not Instagram so much, but Threads, which is their version of Twitter, on the Zuckverse, that the trolls are infiltrating them more. Now, I didn't get it so much on the Facebook page, which is Progressive Citizen X Matt McNeil Show, but on Matthew McNeil 1 on Threads, where I'm at, I got all of a sudden inundated by trolls because they all were like, Chuck Norris, that sort of thing. But what was fascinating is this. If you've ever been part of this, and it was Saturday morning, I'm sitting down, I'm like, oh God, now I got all these people. And I just start clicking on them, the profiles of all these people that are posting, and they're all the same. 0 to 40 followers, no posts on their own site. It's clearly a troll farm. But it was interesting to watch as I went and scrolled through the comments, because as kind of complicated as this whole troll thing is, it's very kind of repetitive. And all of the posts fell into several categories of troll post. And almost all of them used the same exact verbiage, which was crazy. I started noticing after, like, and I just went through and deleted and blocked all the people. I mean, it took me a while, but I did it. And there was a funny end result to this. So the comments fell into violence against me, something in the realm of, someone should take you out or someone should shut you up. You had those. Name calling. All right. Show me in this post where exactly the racism is, Matt. No, I'm not here. You mean nothing to me. No, I'm not going to show you anything. I had a lot of those. I love Chuck Norris even more. There was a bunch of those. I had then these two, which are, I'm a Democrat, and while I don't agree with him, I don't see where this is racist. Followed immediately by, I'm a black man, and while I don't agree with him, I don't see where this is racist. And I had the same language on both of those, like 9 times. So clearly a troll farm there. You liberals are destroying the world. Funny story. Not really, if you've seen what's going on now. And then, of course, my favorite was this, was the snarky post from the troll farm, where it was the concept of check out the comment section to see how nobody likes this guy. And initially I blocked some of those guys, but especially as I got further and further into wiping out all these trolls, because I blocked like 300 people. I blocked like 300 people on this one post. What was funny was all the progressives who were either dogging on Chuck Norris or agreeing with me were the only posts left. And so I stopped deleting the check out the comment section posts there. And it was funny because about an hour later, they clearly were paying attention and they themselves deleted those posts, because it was clear the entire comment section at that point was all on my side, because I blocked every one of them. Because you mean nothing to me. I want to make sure you understand. This isn't 1980s politics. This is modern day politics. The Republican Party, their idea of debate is kicking open your front door, going into the middle of your living room, going to the bathroom in the middle of the floor in your living room, standing up, pointing at it with a smile on their faces, and telling you that you have to like what they just did. And no, I'm just not going to let you in the door. I'm going to block you because you are of no value to me. You have nothing of value to open. And even if you are a legitimate human being, I don't care. On the scale of 9 billion people on the planet, where do you think you line up any day in my importance calendar? Where? Because you're not in the top 100. As a matter of fact, I'll just let you know, you're around 6 billion, 7 billion, somewhere around there. Okay. Probably ahead of the entire country of North Korea, but well behind place like, I don't know, Uzbekistan, who I don't even know anyone there. So it kind of gives you the idea. I don't care. I don't care. But it was fascinating to watch this, because that is now coming in all these other sites. And I'm sure now with the Republican far right owners of TikTok, it's there. It's no longer just Twitter. It's on Facebook. It's on Threads. It's on Instagram. That's why I'm going to once again suggest the following 3 social media pages. Of course, Substack is very good. I enjoy that quite a bit. And you generally don't get too much in the way there of knuckleheads. Blue Sky is fantastic. I like Blue Sky a lot. And you can find me there, Matt McNeil Show, as well. And then Mastodon also seems to clean that stuff out a lot. That's where you're going to find sanity. And that's where I actually find a lot of good conversation and a lot of people that are wanting to talk, as opposed to just mind-controlled or fake accounts that have nothing to offer. So just FYI, just an observation that I saw that. And by the way, I did find it was interesting, the amount of people that were, criticizing me because how dare you post a video from a man who just died so that people can hear what he said in his own terms, and saying that somehow I was out of line. And then, of course, Mueller passes away and Trump has a celebratory thing. And pretty much when that happened, that's when all the posts stopped, because it becomes a little difficult for them to defend their arguments when they're also at the same time cheering on Donald Trump for attacking somebody who just died. So 952-946-6205. So let me get into the main story today, which is Trump being taco. That's right. It's Taco Monday. Because Trump always chickens out. Trump on Saturday morning, I believe it was Saturday morning, put out a threat saying to Iran, well, if you don't open the Strait of Hormuz, we're going to bomb every power plant you've got. And you can see that fat, swollen, bruised pustule of a man high-fiving all of his cabinet members saying, you got them, sir. You got them. They're cowering in their boots. To which immediately Iran said, okay, fine. You want to do that? We'll target every water and power supply we can in our neighboring countries. And so all of a sudden, especially as the clock ticked down on Sunday, that it was pretty clear that Iran was calling Trump's bluff. Because Trump just wants the Strait of Hormuz open. He is flabbergasted, I'll say, that he has not yet been able to just wipe this away and get back his 50K stock market and oil cheap. He's stunned that he has not been able to do this. And so he tried to get the European Union to help him out. They don't want any part of this. And now he's trying to threaten them, and they're calling his bluff. So this morning, all of a sudden, I had some lovely conversations with the Iranians. And so I'm going to give them a 5-day reprieve. And so they did. Funny story about that, though. Iran doesn't seem to have taken any calls from Donald Trump about any of this. That's right. He is making this up because he's an idiot. We'll talk more in a sec. It's the Matt McNeil Show. For delicious gourmet popcorn, Popcorn, Popped corn.com has you covered. Popped corn offers your favorite flavors ready to go. Cheese made with real cheese, their classic mix. More than 80 great flavors. Enjoy featured flavors like Shamrock Caramel and their tasty fudge and nuts. They sell their popcorn in various bag, gift box, and tin sizes, and they ship across the USA. Visit poppedcorn.com and enter in discount code MATT to get 10% off your order. That's discount code MATT at popcorn, Popped corn.com, and make everyone smile.
Hey, it's Patrick for Zero Res. The end of winter is finally on the horizon, and you're going to start thinking about all that nasty crud that's built up in your home over these last few months. Call my cleaning heroes at Zero Res to help get you an early start on the spring cleanup. Zero Res removes winter's buildup and lingering odors, giving your home a fresh, spring-ready feel. This month, get Zero Resified from Minnesota's #1 carpet cleaner. Buy one room, get another free. Buy another room of carpet cleaning, get another room of carpet done for free. Get the picture? Also this month, get a free size upgrade on every whole home air duct cleaning package. Don't you love when you buy your favorite beverage and get a free size upgrade? That's what Zero Res is doing this month with their whole home air duct cleaning package. Start spring cleaning with a free upgrade and pay less for more fresh. Call Zero Res right now, 952-ZERO-RES, or go online to ZeroResMinnesota.com and say you want the AM 950 special. Backward or forward spells the same. Zero Res.
Hey, Francois, why are you hiding packages of macaroons in your yard?
Parce que Pâques est une grande fête en France.
Easter is a big holiday in France. It is in America, too. But aren't you supposed to hide chocolate eggs?
Les macarons ont un meilleur goût.
You think macaroons taste better than chocolate eggs?
Oui, bien sûr, en particulier les macarons de Nicolette.
Oh, and Nicolette's macaroons. They're so pretty. They have those pretty pastel colors. So do you know where you hid them all?
J'en ai mangé la plupart.
You ate most of them? Oh, Francois, you better hurry and buy some more at nicolettesmacaroons.com.
At Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, our job is to help you find a place for fire. Our displays include over 180 models in diverse styles, and we have over 35 burning displays. Come and experience the glow and warmth of a live fire.
Some say there are only 2 seasons in Minnesota: road construction and winter. Hi, this is Laura, and I agree there are 2 seasons in Minnesota: summer and fireplace season. I bought my wood stove for Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces in 2005, and every season after summer comes the time when we fire up the wood stove, get out our favorite music, and discover the warmth of fire. Our dog Pumpkin remembers the fire too. He stations himself right there, legs up in the air, just enjoying the warmth of the fire. With the wood stove, we are able to keep the main area of the house toasty warm, while the thermostat is set at an energy-efficient 64 degrees. Discover your fireplace season. Visit Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces today.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, out of the ordinary products and services since 1977.
Go girls, go, 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 go. We girls gonna take control. You boys better no. We girls gonna run this show. Go girls, go, 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 go.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. All right, let's run through this. Trump on Monday said his administration is in talks with Iran about resolving the war, a claim that significantly tamped down oil prices and spurred market increases in Europe and the United States, though Iran has denied any progress at all in the negotiations. Writing on his social media platform, Truth Social, the president says the United States and Iran have had over the last 2 days very good, productive conversations regarding a complete and total resolution of our hostilities in the Middle East, all capitalized. Trump's 109-word all-caps post brought the cost of Brent crude oil briefly below $100 a barrel after his threat Sunday to bomb Iran's major energy infrastructure spiked prices. The historic shock to the global energy market has caused gasoline prices across the USA to surge $3.95 a gallon. Trump said he called off his 48-hour ultimatum for Iran to expire Monday evening to conduct negotiations over a 5-day period, he told reporters. We'll see how this goes, and if it goes well, we're going to end up with settling this. Otherwise, we're just going to keep bombing our little hearts out, he said roughly during a 20 minutes of comments to the press on the steps of Air Force One. Trump claimed Iranian negotiators have agreed to a 15-point plan as the U.S.-Israeli war in Iran enters its 4th week. By the way, which is hilarious, some of these things that they have presented to Iran are basically the Iranian deal we had under Barack Obama, but just without Barack Obama's signature. And that is the craziest thing, is that by proxy, he is admitting that Barack Obama was right and he had done everything right. But because he's a racist piece of crap, and he got rid of that agreement just because Barack Obama was, and I know this is going to shock some people, black. I know. He got rid of it because of that. Now he basically, I want this, but instead of Barack Obama on there, can we put Donald Trump, that I love you so much? You're the best president ever. Could you put that on there too? Well, they're not going to have a nuclear weapon. That's number one. That's number 1, 2, and 3. And they'll never have a nuclear weapon. They've agreed to that, said a rambling idiot. That's the president of the United States. Trump also said the Strait of Hormuz, a major shipping passage that Iran has effectively closed to ships flagged under Western and Persian Gulf nations, will open very soon if this works. He suggested maybe me and the Ayatollah, whoever the Ayatollah is, will share joint control of the strait, which handles 1/5 of the world's petroleum products. Now, once again, let me just make sure we put on. There's a lot of other countries that are there that are not the United States of America, who would probably have a really big problem with the United States taking over international waters and territorial waters of these other countries. But once again, this is a guy, he just does not understand what he's gotten into. And it's only when I think the military leaders are like, we're going to be sitting ducks. They're going to sink ships. This is not going to go well. That finally is like, well, what do I say now? Very Scooby there. Wow. As for Iran's stockpile of enriched uranium, Trump said capturing and removing it will be very easy. Iran's foreign ministry, though, funny story. They have denied such talks are underway, according to a statement cited from media reports. The Speaker of Iran's parliament also denied that any negotiations in a post on Twitter before noon Eastern saying, our people demand a complete and humiliating punishment of the aggressors. All officials are stand firmly behind their leader and people, and this goal is achieved. No negotiations with America have taken place. Fake news is intended to manipulate financial and oil markets and to escape the quagmire in which America and Israel are trapped. Okay, when the spokesperson for the Iranian House is actually more honest than Trump is, and more realistic in the news, because I'll get to the manipulation of the markets here in just a few minutes. Crazy. Netanyahu has not released a statement on his official website, nor through his AI personality, apparently, or his social media feed as of noon Eastern. Trump's schedule Monday included a trip to Memphis to participate in a roundtable regarding public safety, which he fell asleep at. So he says, once again, he keeps talking about, I'm going to take what's Carg Island. I'm going to take Carg Island. No, you're not, because you're just going to be sitting ducks out there. And they will blow it up just to prevent you from having it. We're going to reopen up the Straits of Hormuz. We'll just bomb the living daylights. No, you won't. They are so dug into those mountains. And once again, this is not missiles or rockets. This is just field artillery. They will blow up those boats, and that's the end of that. Because it's big. You're just not going to do it. You can land 2,000 Marines down there, and I'm just going to make the suggestion, have 2,000 coffins ready to go, because this is not going to go very easily for you. You are going to need at least 300,000 troops. You are going to have to expect a third of those troops being killed in action if you want anything to do with taking over Iran. And then once you take it over, how the hell you think you're going to manage it, I don't know. We talked last week about how the Iranians, their military and political structure is different than here because they've already planned on this. They were planning on the United States and Israel for attacking them in a fairly aggressive standard. And they've made plans to where all these regional military operations and governmental operations are told and instructed on how to operate independently from the centralized government if they get cut off. That is not because they want people to negotiate with Trump. They want people to fight until the end. This is not going to be easy. He should have never done this in the first place. And, Netanyahu basically forcing him to help them and tricking him into helping them is going to end up costing us for a generation here. So he's lying. He's lying. Why is he lying? Well, partly because he doesn't know what else to do at this point. He has no idea what to do, and they're screwed. And Iran is loving this right now because the fact that he said this, and they're like, well, he's lying, they know they're winning this. Why else would he do it? Well, then there's this little nugget. S&P 500 futures and oil futures flashed an unusual burst of activity early Monday, minutes before a market-moving social media post from Trump. That's right. At around 6:50 a.m. on the New York S&P, mini futures trading on the CMA recorded a sharp and isolated jump in volume, breaking from an otherwise subdued pre-market backdrop. With the thin liquidity typical of early trading hours, the sudden burst stood out as one of the largest volume moments of the session up to that point. A similar pattern was observed in the oil markets. West Texas Intermediate May futures saw a noticeable pickup in trading activity at roughly the same exact time, with a distinct volume spike interrupting otherwise quiet conditions. Roughly 15 minutes later, at 7:05 a.m., Trump said on Truth Social that the U.S. and Iran had held talks, that it was halting planned strikes on Iranian power plants and energy infrastructure. That announcement prompted an instant rally on risk assets, with the S&P 500 futures soaring more than 2.5% before the opening bell. Somebody who knew what Trump was about to say bought in, sold, whatever may be the case, but increased the volume on both the S&P and in the oil markets. I'm going to guess in the Dow, it might not have been as noticeable, but they clearly did this. There was insider trading from the Trump White House, without a doubt, that there are people there that Trump says, I'm going to do this. And they say, all right, give us 20 minutes here so we can go sell a bunch of stuff and make as much money as possible. Trump wants the stock market back above 50K. Trump wants oil cheap. We all do. But he doesn't have a plan to make that happen. So now he's relegated himself to market manipulation to put as much money in his pocket as possible while the rest of us suffer. There it is. It's the Matt McNeil Show.
It's Brad Friedman, host of the Bradcast, weeknights at 7 on AM 950, KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Hey, it's Tom Hartman from my friends at All Energy Solar, and I want to talk about something most people don't consider until it's too late. Energy independence isn't just about saving money. It's also about what happens when the grid goes down. Severe weather, aging infrastructure, unexpected outages, they happen, and when they do, most homes go dark. But not homes with solar and battery backup from All Energy Solar. Here's what makes it work. Solar panels charge the battery during the day, so when a storm hits or the grid fails, your home stays powered. Lights, refrigerator, medical equipment, whatever matters most keeps running. All Energy Solar is certified by both Tesla and Enphase for battery storage and has been installing complete solar plus battery systems since 2009. Minnesota battery rebates are also available. Don't wait for the next outage to wish you had acted. Visit allenergysolar.com or call 800-620-3370 for your free evaluation today.
Greg Bakken here. Like you, I love good, fresh, delicious food. So I want to tell you about this treasure in Roseville called Maverick's Real Roast Beef. Maverick's has the best roast beef sandwiches I've ever had. Made fresh, every order. Add fries or onion rings dropped in the fryer when ordered, and you have a winning combination. Maverick's Real Roast Beef has a lot more than roast beef, so check out their website, mavericksbeef.com, or check out their restaurant on Lexington in Roseville.
In today's uncertain times, Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces believes that a fire can add comfort and security to your life. At Woodland, our mission is to connect you to a place for fire that works.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces installed our wood stove years ago, and we still love it. Watching the fire, feeling the heat, is a joy we experience every day. And knowing we have a reliable heat source makes us feel snug and safe.
There are many choices in wood, gas, or electric. For diversity in styles, at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, we display over 180 models, and 35 of these are burning displays. You can experience the glow and warmth of a live fire.
Whether wood, gas, or electric, find a fire that warms your heart, a fire that adds comfort and security to your life. See the many choices at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, located on the corner of East Franklin and Riverside Avenue in Minneapolis, and online at woodlandstoves.com.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces since 1977. For over 48 years, our slogan has been, out of the ordinary products and services. Our mission is to get you a fireplace that works in your life.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Today, sunshine with a high of 48, then tonight, cloudy with a low of 35. There's something for everybody at Cafe Latte in St. Paul, from award-winning soup, salad, sandwiches, and desserts to treats from the bakery made fresh daily and a pizza and wine bar. Cafe Latte is located on the corner of Grand Avenue and Victoria Street. Check them out at cafelatte.com.
You're listening to AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Broadcasting in Chicago in the evenings, WCPT 820 Chicago's Progressive Talk. In Seattle, 1150 AM KKNW in the late night hours on BAM, the Blue Amp Media Network. At blueamp.co on Substack. That's blueamp.co on Substack. And, of course, in Minneapolis, St. Paul on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. It's the Matt McNeil Show. Thanks for being here with us today. The stock market ended up 600 points higher, but that's way down from the highs of the early market, which was 1,200 points higher. It does point to me that some of these people started to realize, wait a second, nothing has changed at all. Nothing's changed at all here. And that's the craziest part. One of the things I read about this weekend was the mentality that the markets have right now is they're so reactionary to Trump because they feel as long as Trump is in there, that there's going to be basically, it's going to default to fraud, basically, for lack of a better way to say it. It's going to default to ignorance, ignoring the big AI bubble, ignoring all these things. And that they basically, that as long as Trump is there, we don't have to pay attention to reality. The problem with that is when reality does hit, it is going to, the bottom's going to drop out on this thing. And that's kind of where we're at, because none of it makes any sense. Once again, Iran's not doing anything. There are no negotiations. And if I can say, you are an absolute freaking idiot if you think that Trump and Netanyahu are going to have killed off most of the major leaders of Iran, have bombed a lot of their infrastructure, have destroyed a lot of their oil fields, have basically bombed civilians, killed a bunch of schoolgirls, blew up a boat in the Indian Ocean, and laughed as the people drowned on the ship. As they go out there and saber rattle and talk about how they're going to take over all of Iran and they're going to do all these things. You are a fool if you think to yourself you're going to be able to negotiate with these people at this point and everyone's going to shake their hands and agree to agree. No, they don't want any part of this. If you wanted to have that, you should have kept the Obama's nuclear deal with them. That was a much better situation than this. And they're going to, and at some point, Trump's going to have to make the decision, because they're not going to open up the Strait of Hormuz. They're not going to do it. They're sure not going to do it for U.S. interests. And they're going to keep attacking the other Middle Eastern countries. And then the other Middle Eastern countries are going to have a discussion about, well, because in a lot of those countries, there's a lot of people who agree with Iran. And, if all of a sudden these governments start falling, and all of a sudden you start getting more countries that are siding with Iran, this is a mess. And just because Trump says, we've had negotiations, he's lying. He is lying. No, they haven't had any negotiations. And like I said, for you to believe that, you have to be such a freaking idiot. Because just look at what Trump has done at this point. Of course they're not going to negotiate. This is going to cost, and there's little things in the background. There is now, I don't know if you saw this, now all 18 to 25-year-old men are going to be automatically registered for a draft come early November. Why do you think they're doing that? Because they can already tell where this is going. And once we get past the midterm elections, then all of a sudden it's like, nobody likes the draft, but we have to make sure that Iran, who really didn't have any nuclear capability, doesn't have any nuclear capability. So, hey, you need to go fight for oil prices. This is going to get ugly. It is. And, maybe Trump keeps chickening out. Hopefully he does, like he did with the tariffs. He kept chickening out. He basically just realized that he painted himself in a corner. And so basically he makes up a story. And maybe that's what it is. And he makes the story up. But you're not going to put this genie back in the bottle. The worms don't go back in the can. It's just not going to happen. And yet they keep thinking, oh, yeah, this is good. This is going great. Speaking of things that are going absolutely, okay, not great. Security lines stretched for hours Monday at U.S. airports where unpaid TSA agents refused to report for duty, and ICE agents have been deployed to the American airports in dozens of cities. The president claimed over the weekend that the immigration agents would help manage long lines, I guess by arresting people and throwing them into, and beating them so they needed medical care. So, that's one less body in the line, I guess. I don't know. In Atlanta, a little immediate impact of their presence could be observed. Meanwhile, airport staff were getting creative, trying to herd thousands of discontented passengers. Lines at Hartsfield-Jackson International had spilled out from the screening area, winding inside and out of the staging area, the baggage claim, and at 9 a.m. were in a loop on the curb. People hoping to make mid-morning flights had been standing in lines before sunrise. Wow. Screening agents from the TSA have gone unpaid while the Department of Homeland Security remains partially shut down. The budget impasse from D.C. stems from demands by Democratic lawmakers to hold immigration enforcement agents to account after the killings of Renee Good and Alex Preddy in Minneapolis, and the practices of warrantless detention and militarized raids have raised alarms. TSA agents missed their second paycheck on Friday. Many have now stopped showing up for work, and hundreds have reportedly quit. Trump deployed ICE agents to assist with passenger screening in 11 cities with busy airports on Monday, according to CNN. Atlanta, Chicago, Philadelphia, Houston, Phoenix, Cleveland, Fort Myers, New Orleans, And the New York City area's 3 big airports, JFK, Newark, and LaGuardia, where a plane actually crashed into a truck this morning, killing 2 pilots. That was a horrible story. The fatal crash has caused the airport to shut down effectively as of right now. So I imagine things at JFK and Newark right now are yeah, I can only imagine. So these are highly untrained ICE agents who don't seem to understand any damn thing of what their job is. And now you're putting them in an airport. What are they going to do? What are they going to do? How are you screening them? This gets actually more infuriating, if you want to know the truth, because it's already going as you would expect. San Francisco, ICE agents in plain clothes reportedly detained a woman at San Francisco, Oakland on Sunday night, which is setting off controversy. San Francisco police and even local law enforcement are signing off on the issue. The news that of detainment came just a day before the president said he would send ICE agents to national airports to ease long TSA lines. The Bay Area, as of now, is not included in those airports, so this incident appears to be unrelated. But the video is being circulated on social media where officials are now responding to it. The video shows what appears to be officers arresting a woman. A crowd of people surrounded the woman and being arrested and asked the officers to show their badge numbers. The officers did not respond to those requests, and the woman is seen later being taken through the airport by officers in a wheelchair. In a statement, the spokesperson for SFO said the federal officers were transporting 2 people on an outbound flight, and the incident on video happened. SFO says it believes that it was an isolated incident and that there is no reason to suspect that broader enforcement is happening at SFO. Please show up for your flight. We need airlines that are full. I added that last part. The airport's role is to ensure a safe, efficient operation of the facility for all passengers and staff. Well, not those people, but I mean everyone else, sure. We were not involved or notified in advance of this incident. Airport operations continue without disruption. Hey, good news, kids. Cinnabon does not have a big line. You're kind of missing the point. San Francisco Mayor Daniel Lurie posted a statement saying, like many San Franciscans, I found the incident at SFO last night upsetting, and I've spoken to leaders at SFO and the San Francisco Police Department, and we believe this is an isolated incident. We have no reason to believe there is a broader federal immigration enforcement in San Francisco. SFPD officers remained at the scene to maintain public safety and were not involved in the incident. Under our city's longstanding policies, local law enforcement does not participate in federal civil immigration enforcement. These policies keep us safe and will not change as long as I am mayor. Okay, so here's where we are at. Let's go with just Atlanta Hartsfield. Let's go. That is a huge airport. If you've never flown there, it's massive. It's Delta's main hub. I will throw O'Hare in there. I'll throw Chicago in there too. These are massive airports, tons of airline traffic coming through, including international flights, and a lot of them. And you're having a bunch of racist, jackassian, militarized, authoritarian federal police agents now on the scene to help. How am I supposed to think anything that unless you're a lily whitey white, you walk into that screening line and you're not about to get, show me your papers. You're under arrest. Seriously, how? I've seen how these people operate in person. I've seen them up close and personal. They don't seem to really have any respect for anyone's civil rights. And they sure as heck, their racism is more important to them than actually doing the job they've been hired to do. I can bring proof of that. I can bring proof of that. I can't imagine what the consequences of this are going to be in regards to the airline industry. Because unless you are, Edgar Winter White at this point, I can't see why you would feel like it'd be safe to take a flight in this country. Because the Gestapo guys are there waiting for you at the airport. Let me see your papers. And you have a bunch of people. I'm going to say this. If you are taking a flight, have your camera ready. Just have your camera ready and be prepared that this might be the next place where we start seeing massive immigration crackdown. And yeah, I just don't see how this is going to go anywhere else. And by the way, I want to remind everybody, this is what I freaking said in early January when they all came here. I don't see how this is going to go anywhere else outside of people's rights getting abused and people getting killed and shot. And yeah. Trump, by the way, is the one that's keeping this whole thing going. He was presented on Sunday with a potential of an off-ramp to the month-long Department of Homeland Security shutdown to fund every part of the department except enforcement operations for ICE. Apparently, this was on the table. Senate Majority Leader John Thune, the Republican, spoke with Trump right after the staff presented the idea to the president, but Trump rejected the idea as he took the Truth Social attack Democrats for not backing the Save America Act. I don't want anyone to vote but white guys. A federal elections overhaul bill that faces a near impossible odds in the Senate. I don't think we should make any deal with the crazy, country-destroying, radical left, blah, blah, blah. He's pudding brain. He's a sponge. It is far more important than anything else we're doing in the Senate. And they're talking about the SAVE Act, blah, blah, blah. All right, that done. The funding idea marked a major reversal for the Republicans who have blocked similar proposals from Democrats for weeks and reflected a shifting political dynamics as security lines grow across the country at understaffed airports. I mean, this happening during spring break is not helping them. It also reflects a growing sentiment among some in the GOP, including Texas Senator Ted Cruz, whose state has been badly hit by TSA lines in recent days. Democrats have long argued that they'd be willing to fund everything but ICE as a negotiation over reining in Trump's immigration enforcement policies have stalled in the Senate, despite lawmakers being multiple meetings with the White House and Border Czar Tom Homan. In recent days, aides were warned progress has been tedious and slow. There's also little sign negotiations could break the log jam by week's end. And solely continuing to search for the middle ground is a complicated immigration enforcement policies that Democrats have attacked for months. So, yeah, I'm not sure this is going to get solved. And we have Easter coming up here, so that's a pretty big travel holiday for a lot of people as well. My guess is, just judging by how Trump works, is that one day he's going to say, I'm going to let you know, I've been talking to the planes. I've had a very good conversation with all the planes, and the planes have promised me that we're going to work together. So I'm going to give them a 5-day reprieve in regards to this, and we're going to bring and pay those guys and get them on back. But if they not, we're going to bomb those planes all over the place. I'll bomb them. I'll bomb those hate Democrats, bomb them, pass the SAVE Act, bomb them. That's going to be my guess. Because if Ted Cruz, Ted Cruz is taking heat. And you know why he's taking heat is because there's a lot of Republicans in Texas who are trying to take flights and they're not able to do it. And if you have to show up for a flight at 3 a.m. for a 10 a.m. flight, there was one guy I saw, he showed up, his flight was mid-morning, he was there at 4 o'clock, he was still an hour and a half in line before his flight took off. Yeah, this is only going to get worse. But hey, thank God the stupidest people on the planet are in charge here, huh? It is the Matt McNeil Show.
Prime Productions is thrilled to bring the world premiere of Abuelita by Nathan Youngerberg to the Capri Theater March 14th through the 29th. A grandmother from Iowa brings her grandson to meet his Puerto Rican relatives in sweltering New York, 1993. Tabby's world is transformed with music, dancing, and community. Directed by Shay Cage. Pay-as-you-are tickets can be purchased at primeprods.org. That's spelled prime, P-R-O-D-S.org.
Get ready for Easter fun with the annual Easter brunch at the Park Tavern. Enjoy Easter ham, all your Easter breakfast and brunch favorites, and all the sides and desserts. Seatings are from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Sunday, April 5th, and you need reservations. $29.95 for adults, $19.95 for those over 65 and under 12 years old, and 5 and under are free. And don't forget the hour of free bowling with every reservation. Call 952-929-6810 on Louisiana Avenue, north of Highway 7 in St. Louis Park. Enjoy a delicious, stress-free Easter with the Park Tavern.
Hey, it's Patrick for Zero Res. The end of winter is finally on the horizon, and you're going to start thinking about all that nasty crud that's built up in your home over these last few months. Call my cleaning heroes at Zero Res to help get you an early start on the spring cleanup. Zero Res removes winter's buildup and lingering odors, giving your home a fresh, spring-ready feel. This month, get Zero Resified from Minnesota's #1 carpet cleaner. Buy one room, get another free. Buy another room of carpet cleaning, get another room of carpet done for free. Get the picture? Also this month, get a free size upgrade on every whole home air duct cleaning package. Don't you love when you buy your favorite beverage and get a free size upgrade? That's what Zero Res is doing this month with their whole home air duct cleaning package. Start spring cleaning with a free upgrade and pay less for more fresh. Call Zero Res right now, 952-ZERO-RES, or go online to ZeroResMinnesota.com and say you want the AM 950 special. Backward or forward spells the same. Zero Res.
Would you let animals pick your insurance? Do you really need to experience mayhem to get the best rates? Or how about a celebrity quarterback or fake university saving you money? There's a lot of marketing stunts when it comes to insurance, but what you really need is someone looking out for you. Call Array Insurance, and they will work hard to find you the best insurance coverage and rates. So avoid gimmicks and call Cheryl at Array, 763-504-3067, or arrayinsurance.com. Array Insurance, working hard for you.
History Theater brings you Hungry Like the Wolf, a fresh comedy that weaves together history, humor, and meaningful social themes, all set against a memorable 80s backdrop with a love for Duran Duran. This lively production dives into labor rights and gender equity, featuring a cast of eccentric and bold characters. Get ready for an experience like no other at History Theater. Catch the exciting performances from March 19th to April 12th at the History Theater in downtown St. Paul. Grab your tickets today at historytheater.com.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. Yeah, this is going to, just, I mean, everything is going bad. I do hear from my international friends, like, are you doing okay over there? I'm like, not really, no. It's, let me give you an idea. I mean, let me give you the idea of the craziness of this country that we don't even pay attention to. Did you know that Donald Trump has now put up a brand new statue to Christopher Columbus? Yes. It's been placed near the White House in the latest effort by Trump to administration to recognize the controversial explorer. I would call him a racist SOB, but sure. Okay, fine. Racist, murderer, genocidal, horrible human being. The statue is a replica of the one that was tossed into Baltimore's harbor in 2020 during Trump's first term at a time of nationwide protest against institutional racism. In this White House, Christopher Columbus is a hero, and Trump will ensure he's honored as such for generations to come, the White House posted on the racist Twitter. Okay. Now, there is one thing I guarantee you that Trump loves Christopher Columbus for. I'll get to that here in a sec, because I've talked about it. I talk about it every time we come to Columbus Day. We are delighted the statue has found a place where it can be peacefully shine and be protected, said John Pica, a Maryland lobbyist and president of the Italian-American organization United, which owns the statue and agreed to loan it to the federal government for placement at or near the White House. The statue, made mostly of marble, was created by Will Hemsley, a sculptor based in Centerville in Maryland, Eastern Shore, has been installed in the grounds and the Eisenhower Executive Office building adjacent to the White House. I'm pretty sure if it's marble, it will sink real fast, guys, so keep that in mind for the future. Anyway, Columbus. Once again, Trump's best buddy. Loves him. Columbus was so impressed when he came sailed to the Americas. He was impressed by the hard work of the gentle islanders that he immediately seized their land for Spain and enslaved them to work in his brutal gold mines. And within 2 years, he had killed 125,000 of the original natives. 125,000 of them were dead in 2 years. He's one of the biggest mass murderers in the history of the world. Christopher Columbus is. On his second trip to the world, Columbus brought cannons and attack dogs. If a native resisted slavery, he would cut off his nose or an ear. If slaves tried to escape, Columbus then burned them alive, and other times he sent attack dogs to hunt them down, and the dogs would tear them off the arms and legs of the screaming natives while they were still alive. If the Spanish ran short of meat to feed the dogs, they fed them the children. That's what they did. These are all known facts. You know, your hero that you've got a statue up there, this is your hero. But once again, if I had to peg why Trump loves Christopher Columbus, my guess it's the next one. Because for any sane human being, you'd be like, oh my God, we gotta take that statue down if you heard this. But not for Donald Trump. Columbus supervised the selling of nader girls into sexual slavery. Young girls of the age of 9 and 10 were the most desired by his men. In 1500, Columbus casually wrote about in his log, he said, 100 castellaneros are easily obtained for a woman as for a farm. And it's general, there are plenty of dealers who go about looking for girls. Those from 9 to 10 are now in demand. He promoted and encouraged the capturing of 9 and 10-year-old girls to be sold as sex slaves. That is the reason why I think Donald Trump loves that guy, is because, yeah, maybe I should make a Columbus area of Mar-a-Lago. Oh. Columbus was horrible. Even for his time, he was considered to be a monster. Even for his time, he was considered to be a monster. He is a symbol of the arrogant, white conquering Europe. That mentality was to subjugate and torture and enslave the native peoples just because they could. Peoples who most of the time were insanely welcoming of these new strangers who have come to our shores, and immediately were abused because of that. Columbus was a horrible guy. And the fact that, and this is just on brand for these guys. Remember when Hegseth brought back all the Confederate general names to rename the posts and the military bases because he supports the Confederate generals. And I know he put out well, I found some other guy named Bragg. No, you didn't. You didn't name him. You're naming him after the Confederate generals because you're a racist piece of crap, Hegseth, and you're a drunk. But you're a racist and a Christian nationalist, and you're just a horrible human being. Gel-combed piece of crap. Dear Lord, are these people horrible. And a reminder, one of the reasons why Donald Trump was today in Nashville is he was pushing people to restrict voting. He was pushing people to restrict voting. So, yeah, I think I don't know where we're going to go with this country at this point. I just don't know where we're going to go with this country. During a Monday event in Memphis, the president said he was tying Department of Homeland Security funding to the Save America Act, a bill that would require a passport or birth certificate to register to vote, knowing that will disenfranchise 70% of the women in this country. I am trying Homeland Security into voter identification with picture and proof of citizen in order to vote. So it should be part of the Homeland Security bill. I'm requesting that the Republican senators do that immediately. You don't have to take the fast vote. Don't worry about Easter going home. Make this one for Jesus, okay? Seriously, he said this. Make this for Jesus. Make this one for Jesus. That's what I'm telling them. It would be a damn good thing because Jesus, yeah, of course, was about discrimination. That's how these people think of Jesus. Oh, God. The most important part of the Homeland Security is voter ID and proof of citizenship. Nobody can vote on Homeland Security without voter ID and proof of citizenship. And you can't have Homeland Security without voter ID and proof of citizenship. We're tying them together. Jesus! Yeah, that's where they're at now. It's now a religious time. Jesus wants us to discriminate against these people. Jesus wants ICE agents to clock them in the head. Jesus wanted us to kill those people. Chicago, Seattle, talk to you tomorrow. Minneapolis, St. Paul, bam, hour 2 up next.
At Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, our job is to help you find a place for fire. Our displays include over 180 models in diverse styles, and we have over 35 burning displays. Come and experience the glow and warmth of a live fire.
Some say there are only 2 seasons in Minnesota, road construction, and winter. Hi, this is Laura, and I agree there are two seasons in Minnesota, summer and fireplace season. I bought my wood stove for Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces in 2005, and every season after summer comes the time when we fire up the wood stove, get out our favorite music, and discover the warmth of fire. Our dog Pumpkin remembers the fire too. He stations himself right there, legs up in the air, just enjoying the warmth of the fire. With the wood stove, we are able to keep the main area of the house toasty warm, while the thermostat is set at an energy-efficient 64 degrees. Discover your fireplace season. Visit Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces today.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, out of the ordinary products and services since 1977.
Come see the Trained Chimp. It's the Matt McNeil Show, 3 to 5 p.m. weekday afternoons, right here on AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
AP News, I'm Ben Thomas. President Trump says the U.S. has been talking with a respected Iranian leader and tells reporters the Islamic Republic is eager for a deal to end the war.
All I'm saying is we are in the throes of a real possibility of making a deal. And I think if I were a betting man, I'd bet for it. But again, I'm not guaranteeing anything. They want to make a deal very badly.
Iran denies negotiations have been held with the U.S., the parliament speaker calling it fake news to manipulate the financial and oil markets. Still, Iran's foreign minister said earlier he had spoken with his counterpart in Turkey, which has served as an intermediary in past talks. And Egypt's president said clear messages have been delivered to Iran on de-escalating the conflict. John Gambrell has more from Dubai.
All this comes as Iran had threatened to target electrical sites, desalination plants, and even the United Arab Emirates 4-reactor nuclear plant at Baraka out in its western desert. All of these sites would have been critical for survival in the Gulf Arab states, just showing the stakes of what was happening and how it could have spiraled into an even further escalation.
As for the markets, oil prices fell, Brent crude settling below $100 per barrel. That boosted stocks. The S&P climbed 1.1%, while the Dow and the Nasdaq each added about 1.4%. In other news, an Air Canada jet collided with a fire truck while landing at New York's LaGuardia Airport last night, killing 2 pilots and injuring several people. Officials say the fire truck had been cleared to cross the tarmac to check on another plane. And Mark Sherman reports the Supreme Court heard arguments today over mail-in ballots.
The court's conservative majority sounded open to ruling out laws in 14 states and the District of Columbia that allow ballots that arrive after Election Day to be counted.
This is AP News.
If you owe back taxes, listen carefully to rule number 1. Never go up against the IRS alone. They're cracking down, freezing bank accounts, garnishing paychecks, canceling passports. Even your home or business could be at risk. But here's what they don't tell you. The IRS has powerful tax relief programs that could save you thousands if you qualify. That's why smart people call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. Nobody knows these programs like the experts at Optima. Their team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $2 billion in tax debt for people just like you. The IRS is not stopping, so don't wait and don't take them on alone. For tax help you need, for tax help you can trust, call Optima today for a free consultation.
Call 800-608-0955. 800-608-0955. 800-608-0955.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit Optima.
March Madness is here, and Popped Corn, that's Popped corn.com, is a game time decision for you. Enjoy your favorite flavor of Popped Corn gourmet popcorn, like cheese made with real cheese, the classic mix, or the featured flavor of Shamrock Caramel. And many college teams are featured on Popped Corn's tins. You can ship your favorite team tin across the USA. Find your team at poppedcorn.com and enter the discount code of Matt to get 10% off your order. That's discount code of MATT at poppedcorn, Popped corn.com.
Hi, I'm Mary T. Caring for others runs deep in my family. My grandmother, Rosa, was a nurse who cared for people in their homes more than a century ago. Inspired by her compassion, my mother, Margaret, and I founded the Mary T. family of companies nearly 50 years ago. Today, we continue that legacy across Minnesota, Wisconsin, Maryland, and Arizona, providing senior living, assisted living with memory care, home health, hospice care, rental housing, and support for people with disabilities. Each service is personal, creative, and focuses on the unique needs of those we serve. We also believe in joy and community, which is why we opened Crooner Supper Club in Fridley, a place to celebrate life with music, laughter, and connection. At Mary T, we're proud to be a Minnesota family company rooted in compassion, inclusion, and respect, and proud supporters of AM 950 and the values that this station represents. Visit MaryTinc.com to learn more.
Congratulations to Mary T, named one of the most admired CEOs of 2026 by the Minneapolis-St. Paul Business Journal.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Today, sunshine with a high of 48, then tonight, cloudy with a low of 35. There's something for everybody at Cafe Latte in St. Paul, from award-winning soup, salad, sandwiches, and desserts to treats from the bakery made fresh daily and a pizza and wine bar. Cafe Latte is located on the corner of Grand Avenue and Victoria Street. Check them out at cafelatte.com.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Hour number 2 of the show here on your Monday. Good to have you with us here today. Matt and Patrick here, of course, on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, and on BAM, the Blue Amp Media at blueamp.co on Substack. Hi, it's Matt. Patrick, it is no Kings this weekend, which I think it's, I think, once again, one of the things about the protesting, if you try to do it every day, every week, it's going to start losing a lot of luster. These no Kings ones, they kind of figured this out. And I think having these things like every 6 months is a really good idea.
Yeah, absolutely. And they just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and the guests are getting pretty big too.
Yeah, I saw this with okay, so now, first of all, anyone listening on the Blue Amp Media Network or listening on any of the variety of ways you can listen to us throughout the world, hi. Okay. Check with your local walk to see who's going to be there. They're going to, especially in the larger cities, they're having some events. We've got a heck of a lineup coming up here in St. Paul on Saturday. Bernie Sanders, tell you what, I heard you have some soup. I like soup. I came in for the protest, and we'll have some soup. Bernie Sanders is in town with Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan, Attorney General Keith Ellison, Joan Baez, Maggie Rogers, and Jane Fonda. Yes, that Jane Fonda. Other national advocates, musicians, and hometown heroes are all going to be there. A pretty substantial lineup of people are going to be there, including now Bernie Sanders, which, solid. I'm definitely not against that at all. And I will say, I want to mention the way they're doing it in St. Paul is there's going to have like a variety of different areas. There's local music pre-programs, and this sounds like a freaking festival, man. So at 11 a.m. at St. Paul College at 235 Marshall Avenue and at Harriet Island, they're all kickoff locations. They're going to have like local music playing and lineups there playing, which is cool. It's stuff like Katie Vernon is going to be over playing in one place. Emmett Doyle is going to be over playing in one place. As well as Surly Girl too. Borealis is going to be playing there at one of the other places there. Vitas de Mars is going to be there. I'm saying this because if you're saying who, these are a lot of good local musicians that are very good. So they're all going to be playing, and then you march over to the Capitol, and that's when you get the big lineup there with Bernie. I don't know if Bernie and Joan Baez are going to sing together, but that will be a memorable moment if it does happen. So. A little song I called Rump Sugar. I like it a lot. Get ready. Here we go. I do not think Bernie Sanders will be singing Rump Shaker, but if he did, that might want to have your phone out for that one. It's going to be a good time. And once again, it's a protest because it's no Kings, and that orange gelatinous cankled jackass, he thinks he's a king. He thinks he's a king. And how dare you peasants tell me anything? Yeah. He is a horrible, horrible human being. And this is your way to tell everyone, do it. Now, will I be in St. Paul? I probably won't, because I'm on the west side of the Twin Cities, so I'm closer to Minneapolis than the St. Paul side. But there's going to be protests everywhere. I've gone to one that's out kind of near our house. Every time I've gone out there, it's been packed. I was marching up and down the center island last time, waving the American flag as a veteran. Don't mind doing that if I could again. So yeah, find your local protest, get out there. Last time we did it, the last time we had a No Kings rally, it was just the biggest protest in the history of this country. Let's see if we can get over 10 million people, because then at that point, maybe, just maybe, the Republican Party will realize, maybe we shouldn't just be a rubber stamp for Donald Trump. We can always hope. We can always hope that they wake up from their delusional thing. So I also wanted to talk about something that's not necessarily a local thing, but I just really quick here. I wanted to touch on Chapel Roan. Now, if you don't know Chapel Roan, she's a singer. She's actually quite a good singer. I think she's very good. But she has had a fairly intolerant standard towards celebrity and fandom. Now, I want to be careful here, because I can understand how sometimes people feel as if they have the right to touch you, or to I'm owed a selfie with you or something like that. And none of that is true. But we talked last week about Chapel Roan and how she was upset because she was in Paris for Fashion Week, and she was upset people were taking photographs of her in public, which I'm like, okay, wait a second here. That's okay. If you're in public, you should expect that. And she seems to have and I know she has some, I think there's some anxiety and some other issues, mental health issues she's had, but celebrity is not a faucet. You don't turn it on and off. I've always been so amazed by Daniel Radcliffe, I think, is amazing. Elijah Wood is an amazing guy, considering, Frodo. Tom Hanks. I just saw the video of Tom Hanks kind of walking through Central Park, and this is from a few years ago, where he wanders upon a wedding and he ends up taking photos with them just out of the blue. And just what a nice thing to do. Taylor Swift is, considering the amount of microscopic analysis of Taylor Swift, she does, I think, an amazing job. I mean, granted, she has, a lot of controls over her exposure, but at the same time, I don't necessarily get the impression that she is, as much as she kind of has created the world where she can get around without necessarily interacting, when she does interact, that it's a negative experience. She seems to be fairly grateful and, greets fans and stuff like that. I think that, you get people that are out there that understand this. And yeah, like I said, celebrity is a real nasty thing, because to get there, it does include this idea that you lose a lot of your ability to go to a Starbucks and get a cup of coffee, or to a Panera and get lunch. You just can't do that anymore. And so, I mean, that's one of the reasons why a lot of celebrities love New York City, is because you can basically put on a hoodie and a pair of dark sunglasses and walk around, and people don't generally recognize you, because, as populated as it is still somewhat anonymous if you want to try to remain that way. Last week when I talked about Chapel Roan, I mentioned that this was, the reason why you are in Paris is the fashion show, the Fashion Week. You would not be invited to Fashion Week unless you were a popular celebrity. So, yeah, I'm a little surprised you don't seem to understand why they didn't give you an invite just because you are an up-and-coming fashion designer. They gave you an invite because you're Chapel Roan and you're a big celebrity. That's part of the deal. So you want to be in Paris for the fashion show, but you don't want to actually have people take photographs of you? Well, apparently I don't know when this happened, but this happened down in Brazil. She was down there for a show, and this mom and her daughter were there. They were at the same hotel. They saw her. She was having breakfast. The daughter, by all accounts, did not approach her. She walked past the table and saw her there. And now there seems to be some disagreement on who exactly was the security agent that then approached the mom and the daughter. Once again, did not go up to Chaperone, did not touch her, did not scream at her, did not demand a photo, just walked by, I think gave a quick little hand wave and went back. And immediately this security guy basically comes down and starts screaming at them about, we'll throw you out of the hotel. Don't you dare ever go over to Chaperone. Here's this young kid who's just a fan who's traumatized by this. Now, the reason we know about this is that wife and daughter were of a major soccer player who got wind of this and kind of went ballistic. Like, what do you mean? How are you doing this? You've ruined this. And it's so bad that apparently the mayor of Rio de Janeiro, where she's not performing, has said that she's not going to be allowed to perform there. She now is trying to say, I don't hate my fans, but you have a real weird way of showing how much you like them. And I'm just going to be honest with you. I get it. It's hard. Boy George, of all people, came out and he sort of said, you've got the world at your feet. Don't kick it. Which is just a great line, by the way. I read that and went, wow, he kind of gets it. If Chaperone truly does have mental health issues that make this that hard, I might make just the suggestion for her that at this point in her life, she could go behind the scenes in music. She could write, she could manage, she could help record, she could promote, she could do all these things behind the scenes, make a really good living doing it, probably 6 figures easy, doing all this, and never once have to worry about someone wanting to take a selfie or a picture or a fan showing up at a hotel. You would never have to worry about that. You could do that. And if your mental health is in a place where it's relatively fragile, maybe you should, because I just don't know how in the world you're not going to crash on this if you continue to really hate the celebrity as you are a celebrity. And my experience with this sort of thing is this becomes kind of a vicious circle rolling down the hill, where the more people find out that someone doesn't like celebrity, the more of a desire to look into that person's life exists. Britney Spears. And I'll never, the Britney Spears shaved her head and was waving umbrellas at people out on a Los Angeles highway. And was it Craig Ferguson was on? He was the only person. Everyone's like, "Did you see what she did?" And he was like, "My God, do you not see this woman is having a serious mental health breakdown? Will somebody go out and help this woman? I don't want to see her get like this." But if you get to the point where a 11, 12, 13-year-old kid walks past your table, doesn't even say anything to you, just there, and the mere existence of that child near you gets you to the point where you have armed thugs threatening to throw the mom and the daughter out of the hotel if they dare ever don't even put your eyes on Chapel Row and ever again. Well, you might not be in the right career field, because that's only going to end. And this could go a lot of ways. She could have a mental breakdown. One of her security guards could end up shooting somebody or something like that. That's all you need, is some 14-year-old getting gunned down by a security guard. I like Chaperone. I do. I like her music. I think she's quite good. But I have zero patience for this, because as you bask in the glory of this, and I get it. Celebrity, if you're a kid and you're looking at the celebrity world, it looks like it's so much fun. It looks like, look at them. They're out at parties. They're hanging out with celebrities. They're going to all these exotic locations. They're doing all these great experiences. They get all this adulation, and it looks like fun. But celebrity itself is actually it's a hard thing to have to deal with. And a lot of people don't. And it's why a lot of people burn out or get into drugs and things collapse. I just get, if you're going to get to the point here where you're going to start screaming at 11 and 12-year-olds because they like you, well, you're in the wrong career field at that point. You do not want to be a musician. You want to work behind the scenes. And like I said, she could do that tomorrow, and she'll make a great living and have a great life, and she'd never have this problem ever again. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. Like I said, just a It's not exactly a political thing, but I saw that and I just wanted to. Yeah. Let's take a break. We'll come on back. Some other actual news to get into. It is the Matt McNeil Show.
Hi, this is Chad from AM 950. I've been telling you about Snap Construction, the company AM 950 trusts for all roofing and siding needs. Now that spring is here and summer is around the corner, now is a great time to find out why AM 950 trusts Snap Construction. Ryan, the owner, and his team at Snap Construction have been great to work with, and they have enjoyed working with our listeners.
Hi, this is Ryan, owner of Snap Construction. We've absolutely loved working with the listeners at AM 950. What a great group of people and a great radio station. I personally want to thank all the listeners that we've had the opportunity to work with. At Snap Construction, we look forward to working with many more of you when it comes to your roofing, siding, windows, and insulation. Don't just take Chad's word for it. Google Snap Construction, arguably the most well-reviewed roofing, siding, window, and insulation contractor in the Twin Cities metro. We led this community with a lifetime craftsmanship warranty. Don't wait to get a free estimate. Call today, 612-333-SNAP, 612-333-SNAP, or visit us online, snapconstruction.com.
Make Libby part of your spring break plans and bring your library wherever you go. With the Libby app from MELSA, the Metropolitan Library Service Agency, you can borrow ebooks, audiobooks, graphic novels, comics, and digital magazines right on your phone, tablet, or Kindle. Just download the Libby app at libbyapp.com, enter your library card, and start reading or listening. Best of all, the app is free, and so are the books, thanks to your public library.
Greg Bakken here. I've told you about the out-of-the-world roast beef sandwiches at Maverick's Real Roast Beef, but I haven't told you about their Philly steak sandwiches, turkey bacon avocado sandwich, BLT, crispy chicken, fish sandwiches, brisket, or pulled pork. Okay, you get the idea. They make a lot of delicious food to the same standard as their famous roast beef sandwiches, and now I'm starving. I'm going to go to Maverick's Real Roast Beef off Lexington and Roseville, and you need to go too. Check out their menu at mavericksbeef.com.
In today's uncertain times, Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces believes that a fire can add comfort and security to your life. At Woodland, our mission is to connect you to a place for fire that works.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces installed our wood stove years ago, and we still love it. Watching the fire, feeling the heat, is a joy we experience every day. And knowing we have a reliable heat source makes us feel snug and safe.
There are many choices in wood, gas, or electric. For diversity in styles, at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, we display over 180 models, and 35 of these are burning displays. You can experience the glow and warmth of a live fire.
Whether wood, gas, or electric, find a fire that warms your heart, a fire that adds comfort and security to your life. See the many choices at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, located on the corner of East Franklin and Riverside Avenue in Minneapolis, and online at woodlandstoves.com.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces since 1977. For over 48 years, our slogan has been, out of the ordinary products and services. Our mission is to get you a fireplace that works in your life.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. So we have a current problem here in the state of Minnesota. Well, a problem, it's just a quirk of the system. The Minnesota House has got a tie in it. That's right. It's an even 67-67. And to give you an idea of the problem this creates is that that you basically have to have 68 votes on anything to get anything passed. So basically, each party can stop anything from getting passed in the House. It's a delight. And like I said, it's kind of an interesting little quirk to see this. It's only happened twice. This is the second time this has happened. The Minnesota House was in a tie in the 1970s for 2 years. But by the way, I don't think it's going to be a tie. I'm pretty sure after that Republican Party and Minnesota House Republicans welcomed ICE into the state to beat and kill people in the streets, I don't think they're gonna resonate, at least not in the metro area anywhere. So I think their days are kind of numbered as far as this tie goes. There's a one of the Republicans though is putting out an idea here to try to change this. They basically want to get rid of the tie, but the problem is the Representative Paul Torkelson, that's right, Torkelson, the Torkster from Hanska. To do this, you would have to get rid of 22 Senate seats, which basically is the poison pill. And as a matter of fact, I don't even quite understand why he's introducing this bill, because there's no way on the planet the Senate's going to vote to get rid of 22 Senate seats in the Minnesota Senate to make this work. We came in with a tie. We have a very difficult time starting the session, said Torkelson. He's been in office since 2009, but it's not seeking re-election. Torkelson, once again, another Republican who's like, yeah, I can see where this is going to go. His proposal would add one lawmaker to the House, growing that number to 135. But it would cut the size of the Senate from 67 to 45 members. The change in the Senate would be necessary to meet the legal requirements for drawing legislative districts, Torkelson said. Basically, so what he wants to do is, currently in the state of Minnesota, for every Senate district, there are 2 House districts within each Senate district. He wants to change it to where there is, for every Senate district, there's 3 House seats to do this. Which, once again, I think before, when he came up with this idea, I'm kind of stunned to a point that he didn't understand that this was a poison pill, because the Senate, and I got to imagine even a lot of Republicans in the Senate, are not about to vote to get rid of their own seats. And trust me, that is, and I know that some Republicans will say, well, we're going to keep all the Republican Senate seats as is. Well, that's not going to work. And so you've got a lot of seats where there has been some gerrymandering to keep parts of metro areas, which are traditionally blue, out of redder areas. And now all of a sudden you're taking a bunch of House seats that were in the current political climate, a plus 10, plus 12 Republican, turning them into a plus 5, plus 6 Republican, and hoping and praying that somehow after this disastrous Trump run, that somehow the Republican brand is somehow salvageable. Now, don't get me wrong, the media, including local media, will do everything in their power to try to help them out. But yeah. While the bill stirred up jokes about committee hearing on Tuesday, it shows that some lawmakers view the House tie as a serious enough problem to warrant a real attention. In the fall of 2024, voters sent the tied House to the legislature that forced Republicans and Democrats to figure out how to run an evenly divided chamber, but the balance of power was quickly upset. A judge ruled that the newly elected DFLer was ineligible to take office because he didn't live in the Roseville area district he was supposed to represent, giving Republicans a temporary 67 to 66 advantage before the special election. Yeah, that idiot. When the GOP attempted to run the House before that special election, Democrats boycotted the legislature, denying the GOP a quorum of 68 members. You have to have 68 people there, one more than halfway, to be able to do anything. Republicans also suggested they could refuse to seat Brad Tabke, a Democrat who won by 14 votes in a race where the election officials lost 20 absentee ballots. But they went through that whole thing, and people came forward and saying, yeah, my ballot was for Tabke. So no. Eventually, the two parties hashed out an agreement that made Republican Lisa Demuth, the House Speaker, boo. She's the one that said, we talked to the Utah Mama's boy that came out here and did the racist Somali video, that we all applauded the racist Somali video and then used that to try to get Trump to attack the state. So that's her. She's a horrible person. Yes. Anyway, they gave her the House speakership and seated Tabke. The DFL then won the special election, restoring the tie. After the standoff stalled the House for weeks, a year later, lawmakers are still debating who was at fault. Torkelson's bill would result in 3 House districts for every Senate district, rather than 2. That would mean big changes for it's the largest state Senate chamber in the U.S., though Minnesota is closer to middle among legislatures and the number of people represented per senator and office population. Go to like New Hampshire. New Hampshire's nuts. How many people are in that Congress over there? Dear Lord. He said he shared this idea with some of the senators, but the panel of other representatives interrupted his Senate's laughing. While lawmakers in the House and Senate have to work together to pass bills, the two chambers have a friendly rivalry and often tease each other. Well, yeah. The Senate's not going to be keen on you killing 22 of their Senate seats. That's not going to happen. This is just going to have to be the deal. Now, one thing that's not talked about in this is, and I've said this before, is that we had the part of the problem that we had was that in the state of Minnesota, that election, Amy Klobuchar was the top of the ticket, but the Republicans didn't even really run a candidate against her, at least no one of any consequence. So the metro area, the Twin Cities metro area, focused on the Minnesota second race, which was Angie Craig, which her entire campaign in 2024 was, I hate Joe Biden, and I'm paraphrasing, I hate Joe Biden, and cops can do no wrong, that sort of thing. And by torching her own party, she basically poisoned the water hole for any race below her race. And henceforth, thanks, Ange, the tie is on you. Heaven forbid you're a proud Democrat if you run as a Democrat. Heaven forbid. I mean, I know. Heaven forbid you're a proud Democrat. And I get it. Now you're a proud Democrat now that you're running for the Senate seat. But still, that's why we're in this mess. It's just a quirk. And it doesn't happen that often, so I don't know how much of a bigger deal it is. Robert is in Columbia Heights. He wanted to chime in on the Chapel Roan thing that I mentioned earlier. Welcome on in, Robert.
Hi, Matt. Yeah, I don't even know who Chapel Roan is, but she should do a remake of the Beatles movie. It's been a hard day's night.
What? Were they running from the fans?
Yes.
They could do that. Thanks, Robert. I appreciate the phone call. I just, it's celebrity is celebrity. And, I mean, Elvis had Graceland, so he could kind of get away from the fans and stuff like this. People do this. These people have these houses. I was out sailing off the coast of Ireland years and years ago with my friend, with Dermot Flanagan from St. Patrick's Day. Dermot and I were sailing on the Irish coast. And as we sailed south, around Dublin, he pointed out this one area where there's these huge houses. I mean, huge, like America-sized houses, because if you ever go over there, the European houses are much smaller than what we have, but these are huge, massive mansions. And he said, oh, yeah, that most of the guys from U2 live up in there, or one or two of them did, or something like that. And they have that. It's all gated. You can't get anywhere even close to there. It's all security and stuff like that. I get that. It's hard being a celebrity, but I can list off 1,000 different career fields where you will never have to worry about celebrity. Okay. Architect, plumber. I mean, don't get me wrong. There are great plumbers out there. They generally will not have mobs of people trying to photograph them all the time. Trust me. So, plumbing, welding is good. Radio broadcasting. I'm going to be honest with you. Who are you? Yeah, exactly. Exactly. By the way, just really quick, I just thought about this. For many years, I did traffic, and I did metro traffic here in town. And I got to work with the guys over at Channel 9, and Tom Butler does the morning show over there. And Tom is this great guy, and he's very personable, great broadcaster. And Tom, and I talked to him about that because he says that happens a lot. He lives just in the metro area, and he'll go to a grocery store, and people are like, oh my gosh, it's Tom Butler. They know him because of TV. And I said, yeah, that's one of the better parts of radio, is that unless I'm saying something, the chance of anyone recognizing me is pretty much none. I'm good with that. He said, yeah, but at the same time, people just want to say hi. And if they do, I'm grateful they're fans. And that taught me a lot. You know what? I get that. Maybe Tom should talk to Chapel Roan. I'm just going to say 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. Take a break. Come on back. More when we do return. It is the Matt McNeil Show.
Hi, this is Frank Brown with Minuteman Press Uptown. It's election season. If you're campaigning for a candidate, your outreach needs top quality union printed materials, from direct mail and yard signs to door hangers, buttons, t-shirts, and flyers. Minuteman Uptown is your union shop to get people to the polls. We print everything. We'll keep your candidate top of mind, target your message with a laser focus, and maximize your voter turnout efforts. Get started today at mpuptown.com. That's mpuptown.com.
Peace of mind shouldn't cost a fortune. We keep things simple at Schroman Law because we believe planning for your estate and end-of-life care shouldn't be stressful or expensive. Every client relationship starts with a free consultation so clients have the information they need before making important decisions. From there, we work closely with clients to ensure they are choosing the most efficient and cost-effective plans for their specific needs. Schedule a free consultation today at schromanlaw.com. That's SCHROMEN law.com.
When it comes to nutritional supplements, it can be hard to know what to trust. Announcing whattotrust.com. Whattotrust.com is a free app developed by Canamix, a Rochester, Minnesota company founded by scientists and clinicians from Harvard Medical School to help people make informed choices. It's time to stop guessing what scientifically proven means and start knowing what to trust. Go to whattotrust.com, enter product's name, and get science-based What to Trust scores. Companies do not pay to be listed on What to Trust. Whattotrust.com.
Your time is precious. Why are you still mowing your own lawn? I'm Alex Knorr, a young, hardworking entrepreneur serving the Southwest Metro with affordable lawn care. At Buzzcut Mowing, I offer weekly mowing, leaf cleanups, aeration, dethatching, tree trimming, and mulch installation. I work hard so you can relax and enjoy time with family and friends. Call today and I'll handle the rest. Visit buzzcutmowingmn.com. That's buzzcutmowingmn.com.
Get ready for Easter fun with the annual Easter brunch at the Park Tavern. Enjoy Easter ham, all your Easter breakfast and brunch favorites, and all the sides and desserts. Seatings are from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Sunday, April 5th, and you need reservations. $29.95 for adults, $19.95 for those over 65 and under 12 years old, and 5 and under are free. And don't forget the hour of free bowling with every reservation. Call 952-929-6810 on Louisiana Avenue, north of Highway 7 in St. Louis Park. Enjoy a delicious, stress-free Easter with the Park Tavern.
Introducing a new day of the week. Someday. Now, everything you were going to do someday is on the calendar. Want to retire someday? You'll really want this. A My Social Security account at socialsecurity.gov. You can estimate your future benefits and manage current benefits online. Millions of people have a My Social Security account. Get yours today because someday is here at socialsecurity.gov.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Tonight, cloudy with a low of 35, then Tuesday, sunshine with a high of 56. There's something for everybody at Cafe Latte in St. Paul, from award-winning soup, salad, sandwiches, and desserts to treats from the bakery made fresh daily and a pizza and wine bar. Cafe Latte is located on the corner of Grand Avenue and Victoria Street. Check them out at cafelatte.com. ATNF AM 950, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
It is the Matt McNeil Show, broadcasting on the Blue Ant Media Network as well as also on AM 950 in Minneapolis, St. Paul. Thanks for being here today. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. Today marks the 16th anniversary of the Affordable Care Act. Basically, it is amazing to me that Barack Obama looked at Americans and said, I've got the votes to give you health care, cheap, affordable health care. And the Republican Party basically said that, and I want to take you back to how bad it was. I mean, I think the case for a lot of people that really was the final straw was that infant out in Colorado, I think it was the infant out there who they basically were denying medical coverage because he said he had pre-existing conditions. And the whole argument, it became such an empty argument from the Republicans of you're going to have secret groups deciding health care. And the first thing people were saying, well, you already have that. The corporate boardrooms of these medical companies are deciding which health care people get. Well, but that's okay. It's not. I remember how people used to dog on, because we're going to have like the Canadian medical setup, which especially today, I mean, I want to go back in the time when that was 2010. 2009, they passed that in 2010. The election there where all the Democrats ran away from their biggest accomplishment ever. Yeah, I can't figure that out either. But we are here, 17 years later. And I think that if most people were offered a similar version to the Canadian healthcare program, they would take it in a heartbeat, especially rural America, where the clinics have been shut down slowly because they're just not cost effective. That it's easier for them to say, well, now if you got a gunshot wound, you got to go 60 minutes before you get to the hospital. So I hope you know how to apply a pressure gauze. That's kind of where we're at. And in the Canadian system, what they would say is that if you needed to get this extremely rare type of surgery, that you had to go to a major area, that they wouldn't have this in the middle of, Bucksnort, Yukon territory. And I'm like, okay, but still, Bucksnort's going to have probably a medical facility there where you can at least get medical checkups, as opposed to have to drive an hour and a half to go get a medical checkup. So, and I don't know, is there a Bucksnort, Yukon? I imagine there might be. I could be. I don't know. But the Canadian system looks like a dream comparatively to what we have now. But the Affordable Care Act gets passed, and immediately, or is it being debated and then eventually gets passed, the number of white Republicans who either said, I'd rather not have cheap health care because I don't want black people to get cheap health care, which is amazing. I would rather go into medical debt bankruptcy as opposed to see a black person get a benefit that I'm getting at the same time. Wow. Or I'd rather not have cheap, affordable health care because the person who's behind it is a black man in President Obama. I can't help you with that. And that was fervent within the Republican Party. That just, how dare they expect us to take care of the black people? And you can say, that wasn't it at all. I was here. I was here. I know what you guys were all saying. You expect those people to get the help? I mean, I don't mind helping out the white people. I heard you all. 16 years later, it still is in effect. And as much as Republicans have tried to kill it, it is still trying to help people. Trump and congressional Republicans refused to extend the ACA enhanced tax credits, had led thousands of families to lose their health insurance after premiums skyrocketed on an average of 114%. According to new polling, 2/3 of Americans say the Republican Congress did the wrong thing by not extending the enhanced ACA tax credits. Additionally, nearly 1 in 3 adults say they are very worried about fording their health care bills. Trump and MAGA Republicans in Minnesota also slashed $1 trillion from Medicaid, putting rural hospitals at risk of closure. Some of them already have, increasing the number of uninsured Minnesotans by 175,000. That's just one state. 175,000 Minnesotans are no longer insured, courtesy of the Republican Party. Tom Emmer, Fat Casper as I call him, Michelle Fischbach, Pete Stauber, Stubby, and Opie down in one, a.k.a. Brad Finstead, unleashed, because all of them voted for it, unleashed a healthcare crisis for Minnesotans. Donald Trump and MAGA Republicans failed to bring down costs. Their choices are making your healthcare more expensive. Democrats have fought every chance to bring down healthcare costs for hardworking Minnesotans. We'll keep fighting. The DFL will keep fighting to ensure Trump and his rubber stamp Republicans are held accountable for making healthcare unaffordable for Minnesota families. And it should be known, because they're desperately trying to get down that path. They're trying their hardest to try to make this into you forget about that. That wasn't anything we did, because they can't defend it. And remind you, the national news media is going to help them. So what the national news media is after the day after the election, if Republicans manage to hold on, they'll say, I'm surprised nobody brought up the fact that they wiped out the Affordable Care Act. Like they're some sort of bystander in this whole thing. Republicans being disconnected is, pretty much on par. And which brings me to Michelle Tafoya. And once again, I'm going to talk a little bit more about her because she is running for Senate. This is the former was it Monday Night Football or Sunday Night Football? It was a Sunday Night Football broadcast, correct? Yeah. The Sunday Night Football broadcast. She was the sideline reporter for many years. She's also a far-right Republican. And she's pushed far-right policies. Although she did seem to, and I'll get to it in a second. She did seem to adopt a very interesting policy after, I think it was the 2022 election, where she said, we have to get away from abortion as the only issue. Like I said, I'll come back to that here in a second. Now, I brought some criticism against Michelle Tafoya because as she is running for Senate and she's running against some pretty extremist far-right people, she herself has had to try to get more far-right. And she definitely has, although she did at one point claim that she disagreed with Trump. And I have zero doubt once the general election comes around, if she is the candidate from the Republican Party, she will insist, I can't stand Donald Trump. Yeah. Right now, though, she is very much there and supporting him. She was the one that basically backs the war and told Minnesota voters to take one less trip to Starbucks and just try to be patriots about the pain in the gas pump in an interview she did with a radio station. Minnesotans don't need to lecture the wealthy MAGA influencer on patriotism. They need someone who understands that 81 cents more per gallon isn't a Starbucks problem. It's making ends meet problem. Minnesota families don't create this mess. Donald Trump did. They deserve better than being told to make do. Minnesotans are feeling the impacts of the Tafoya-backed war with Iran, which has spiked gas prices across the state. Here's what she said. I think right now, at least just kind of keeping a stiff upper lip, maybe take one less trip to Starbucks, and so that gas goes a little further until this thing is over and these gas prices come back down. Let's try to be patriots about this. Sure, easy to do that when you live in a gilded mansion, you know. But I want to go back to the abortion thing because this one, one of the things that I was kind of interested in with her is that she had been so vocal after the overturning of Roe v. Wade and the political consequences of that the Republican Party shouldn't just be the anti-abortion party. And I want to remind everybody who's listening to me right now, and I don't care where you're at, what state you're in, where you're at, whenever you hear a Republican say, well, abortion's a decided issue, we don't need to try to, especially a Republican in a Democratic leading state, we don't need to try to change anything, they are lying. Their goal is to trick you into thinking that this is an issue they don't want to do anything about. But the second they get back into power, they will try to basically outlaw it outright, that women should not be able to make their own choices about health care. The Senate candidate Michelle Tafoya called Minnesota's current abortion laws awful and barbaric in a podcast interview Saturday. Minnesota's abortion protections, as codified in 2023, preserve a woman's right to make her own reproductive health decisions in consultation with her doctor. But she calls that awful and barbaric. Tafoya said she's in line with Trump on the issue, promised to support hardline conservative judges, and said voters should pressure their gubernatorial and state legislative candidates to change protections for women. This is just we talked with her about this with Michael Broadcorp on Friday. Does she not know that this is going to be used against her brutally come the general election? I'm in line. They have it audio. I'm in line with President Trump on abortion. So if people voted for President Trump and where he is on this issue, they should know they should have no problem with voting for me. I am all about confirming strict conservative judges. My stance is not the stance of the Minnesota laws that exist, which I believe are awful and they go too far. They're barbaric. This week, Tafoya told Minnesota women the law protecting their rights is barbaric. Last week, she told Minnesotans to take one less trip to Starbucks, making life more expensive. Tafoya doesn't understand Minnesotans. No, she doesn't. They're part of a long record of positions that are out of touch with Minnesotans. Tafoya attacked officials for defending women's right to choose and served as a spokesperson for a staunchly anti-abortion group that advocates for banning abortion. She donated to Trump over 40 times. 40 times. Meanwhile, Trump is pulling underwater in Minnesota by 13 points. And today, she has constantly opposed the Affordable Care Act and backed getting ACA tax credits, more than doubling health care costs for 90,000 Minnesotans. So once again, she's not for helping you. She is for basically pushing Trump's agenda on you. And that means undoing all the abortion rights laws in the state, even though it's a constitutional amendment at this point. I believe it's enshrined in the Constitution. You got to choose wisely. And for any person out there in any state, look at what these Republicans are saying right now. Because if you're going to win these elections come November, then you need to basically don't allow them to reinvent themselves after the primary season is over. If this is a person who's saying, I'm anti-abortion, I don't think you should have the right to do these things, well, I support Trump 100%. When they come on out at the day after the primary, it's like, I was never a 100% Trumper. You can say, I've got audio from you that contradicts your own statement. And there you go. 952-946-6205. Phil is in Minneapolis. He wanted to chime in on the ACA. Welcome on in, Phil.
Hi. Well, I have a very clear memory of when the ACA was being put up, and the Republicans all were just shaking their fingers at the Democrats saying, oh, we're going to have death panels if you have the ACA. Well, then they pushed through these Medicare disadvantage plans.
Oh, yeah.
They're the ones with the death panels.
Well, it was that Medicare Part D. Wasn't that Medicare Part D? Is that what it is? No, they
well,
had a great.
There are Medicare. Oh God, what is? I pay for a Medicare. It's a Medigap insurance.
Medigap, that's what it is. Okay.
It is not Medicare Advantage, or because they all have death panels. Some of those medications, I wonder if my medication would even have been approved. I am a cancer slacker. I'm taking an anti-hormonal medication that holds my PSA number below 1 for prostate cancer. And this stuff costs, if I had to go in, the suggested retail price of my medication per month is over $13,000.
Wow.
And the way my coverage covers, I pay the first $2,100 in January, and the rest of the year, the insurance covers 100% of my medication expenses.
It is Phil. All my best to you. I hope you have a very long life and it's not bankrupt. Okay.
Well, I'm pushing 78 this year.
Good for you.
And until just 2 years ago, I hadn't been taking any medication of any kind at all. And now I am taking 11 pills a day, 4 of which cost, if I had to pay, it would be cheaper for me to be on heroin.
Okay, don't give them that idea. Phil in Minneapolis, thank you very much. I appreciate the phone call. And all my best. I do hope you a long life. And there's the problem right there. Right there. And every Republican in the state of Minnesota and every Republican in this freaking country looks at what that is going on right now and says, isn't that great? $13,000 for a bill to save their life. Why didn't we think about making it $15,000? Our healthcare system is broken. Even with the Affordable Care Act, the gutting and the absolute abuse of it by corporate America, we need a single payer system. And funny, when we bring up single payer systems, most of the time, single payer systems, they always say, hey, we don't have the money for that. But you know what we always have the money for? Bombing a country. Always have money for that. But tons of money to bomb a country. Or a tax cut for a billionaire. There's always tons of money to give tax cuts to billionaires. But healthcare that's affordable for the American people, you think we got bottomless pockets? Well, apparently you do. It's just your priorities are the things that are effed up. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. Take a break. Come on back. The Matt McNeil Show here on your Monday.
Prime Productions is thrilled to bring the world premiere of Abuelita by Nathan Youngerberg to the Capri Theater March 14th through the 29th. A grandmother from Iowa brings her grandson to meet his Puerto Rican relatives in sweltering New York, 1993. Tabby's world is transformed with music, dancing, and community. Directed by Shay Cage. Pay-as-your tickets can be purchased at primeprods.org. That's spelled prime, P-R-O-D-S.org.
For delicious gourmet popcorn, Popped Corn, Popped corn.com has you covered. Popcorn offers your favorite flavors ready to go. Cheese made with real cheese, their classic mix. More than 80 great flavors. Enjoy featured flavors like Shamrock Caramel and their tasty fudge and nuts. They sell their popcorn in various bag, gift box, and tin sizes, and they ship across the USA. Visit popcorn.com and enter in discount code MATT to get 10% off your order. That's discount code MATT at popcorn, POPPED, corn.com, and make everyone smile.
Hey, it's Patrick for Zero Res. The end of winter is finally on the horizon, and you're going to start thinking about all that nasty crud that's built up in your home over these last few months. Call my cleaning heroes at Zero Res to help get you an early start on the spring cleanup. Zero Res removes winter's buildup and lingering odors, giving your home a fresh, spring-ready feel. This month, get Zero Resified from Minnesota's #1 carpet cleaner. Buy one room, get another free. Buy another room of carpet cleaning, get another room of carpet done for free. Get the picture? Also this month, get a free size upgrade on every whole home air duct cleaning package. Don't you love when you buy your favorite beverage and get a free size upgrade? That's what Zero Res is doing this month with their whole home air duct cleaning package. Start spring cleaning with a free upgrade and pay less for more fresh. Call Zero Res right now, 9520-RES, or go online to ZeroResMinnesota.com and say you want the AM 950 special. Backward or forward spells the same. Zero Res.
Hey, it's Tom Hartman, and here's a thought I keep coming back to. Your utility company raised its rates last year. It'll raise them next year and the year after that. And you have no vote, no say, and no alternative, unless you generate your own power. That's what solar makes possible for your home and your business. All Energy Solar has been helping homeowners and commercial operators take back control of their energy since 2009. They design every system specifically for you, your property, your usage, your goals. No cookie cutter solutions, no pressure, just honest answers and expert work. Minnesota homeowners also benefit from sales tax, property tax exemptions, and some local incentives depending on where you live. And commercial customers can still get access to the 30% federal investment tax credit through 2027. But you have to act soon. The sun shows up every day and asks nothing in return. All Energy Solar helps you capture it. Visit allenergysolar.com or call 800-620-3370 for your free evaluation today.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. Okay, so this last segment here, this last story I'm going to put forward is called I Have a Bone to Pick with You. One of the oldest city cemeteries in Duluth, Minnesota, sits on the brink of Lake Superior. The field of headstones offers prime shoreline view for visitors. In summer of 2024, family visiting the neighboring Glensheen Mansion decided to take a roll on the beach. Beautiful area, though, by the way, near Scandia Cemetery, and they made a discovery: a human bone. I'm a little concerned how they were so quick to say, oh, that's a human bone. But okay, I won't ask that question. Could be a skull, I guess. Survey of the site revealed that other bones had been protruding through the dirt too, thanks to years of erosion. Now the St. Louis County Board is asking the state for $1.7 million to protect 300 feet of Scandia Cemetery's waterfront from the unending waves and extreme weather that have worn the shoreline. The county likely, the county likely with help from the city would pay for 25% of the project. The grant application is due this past week. We recognize that the private cemetery doesn't have a financial means and somebody's got to do something. Yeah, you do. I mean, I guess we could sell tickets. Hey, here comes Elwyn out of the ground. Yeah. By the way, okay, there was a similar situation to this. So years and years ago, there was a Hopkins poor farm, and the town I live in is Hopkins, the suburb. And a lot of communities had this during the Great Depression. When people could not afford food, they would allow them to farm the area, and then they could grow their own food. Well, and then some of these facilities offered residences, and when people died, they kind of had little cemetery plots nearby, and they would bury the people there. Well, where that was supposedly dug up and all the bodies moved. Funny story, though, and I think it was 1988, there was a major flood that happened, and the next thing you know, there was coffins floating down the street of 5th Avenue South in Hopkins. And the reason why is because they didn't move the bodies, a.k.a. the plot of Poltergeist, which some people thought is like, whoa, that's not good. Yes, exactly. That is not good. to have the body remains flowing down the street. It's very 15th century England, but I don't know if it's a good idea now. Well, at least back then they were smart enough to chuck you into a bog or something like that. Just watch the erosion patterns and oh look, it's a pelvis. There it is. Oh, it's pelvis shores. Jesus. Maybe we should move them. Maybe that's the problem here is we're trying to, it's hard to keep them in the ground at this point. We just there are other cemeteries. I know there's ones on the top of the hill in Duluth, nowhere near the lake. Let's move them up there and be done with it. How we do that? All right. Or 2.7 million, you say? Or 2.5 million? Okay, great. Whatever. God, it's going to be disturbing. How many people now are heading out to that beach to try to find human remains? Yikes. Yikes. Welcome to America. Hey, Native Root Trader is up next. We are back tomorrow. Have a good one. Till then, see ya.